Hi everyone and welcome back. Initially today's video was going to be about movies that I felt could really use an upgrade. Movies that should be remade just because technology now is so much better. Instead I've kind of veered away from that, and today I'm actually going to be talking about movies that I think are fine just the way they are, but could really do with a sequel just to kind of inspire people to watch the originals. So, the first one that I came up with was a sequel to 12 Angry Men, which came out in 1957 with an all-star cast. Henry Fonda was the main focus of it. And it's basically about these 12 jurors that are holding an 18-year-old kid's life in their hands. They can choose to send him to the electric chair or acquit him of a possible murder. I think it would be interesting to do a sequel to this movie as opposed to a remake that they've tried multiple times and none of them have been very good. But maybe take it to a point where now it's years later and the kid that was on trial is now on his deathbed, and he confesses how he actually did commit this murder. Because in the movie, it's either way. There's arguments for and against. And it would just be really interesting to see it where they got it wrong and the kid did do it, and he explains not only how but why he committed this murder. Just a thought. I think it would be interesting. It would really captivate people who are familiar with the original, and at the same time, if you get the right cast like the original had, people are going to see it, they're going to love it, they're going to want to know the story, and they're going to watch the original. So, the second movie on my list is 2006's The Covenant with Stephen Strait, Sebastian Stan, Taylor Kitsch, and it's a really good movie. It's basically about these four kids from four different families, and they're warlocks. And they grow up with these powers, and it turns out that there's actually a fifth family that kind of has been almost excommunicated, I guess you could say, and just going about in the dark. And now the fifth kid confronts the others, and it's just the standoffs between them, the back and forths, how they try to figure out who he is when the whole time he knows who they are. And at the end, the movie finishes with Stephen Strait and Sebastian Stan having this face-off, this conflict. And after the fight, it's just kind of what's going on next. Sebastian Stan is presumed still alive, and you could do a sequel to this. Have, the same four guys back, only this time now they've all ascended. They're all that much more stronger because they're 18. And they go out looking for Sebastian Stan's character, just because he's still out there. He's very strong. And they kind of want to put an end to his way of using these powers and this magic, where it can actually, bring to light what they are. And obviously they can't have that. They've got to keep it in the dark. So I think that would really be interesting. I'm sure that, Sebastian Stan has his schedule tied up with the Marvel movies, but hey, he could come back for a few months, take a few months from that, and shoot this sequel and really get people back involved with it. It was good. Different take on things. Instead of in an age when everyone was watching vampire movies, you've got these guys and they're warlocks. So if you haven't seen the original, check it out. I'm sure you're going to agree that a sequel would really be good for this. Next movie, 2002, Equilibrium. Unbelievable movie. Taye Diggs, Sean Bain, Christian Bale. It's basically, it's almost like Fahrenheit 451 meets 1984, and you've got these, I guess you could say, officers of the law who go out and they stop anything, or they stop people basically from feeling or having anything that can cause feeling. So no books, no music, no paintings, nothing like that. It's all outlawed. And in the movie, Christian Bale slowly starts to, grow feelings. They have to take these injections every day, and he stops taking his. And as he starts to grow feelings, he ends up joining up with rebellion to kind of overthrow this government that has, stopped humans from being human, basically. And the movie ends with these unbelievable fight scenes, gunfight scenes, sword fights. It's just, the movie would have been, everyone would have known about this movie. The downside, it came out around the time of The Matrix. So everyone was talking about The Matrix. That was the big hype, those effects. This one kind of got swept under the rug. And you should really check it out if you haven't seen it. You're going to be blown away. But it would be nice to see a sequel of this. What's happened now after the overthrow of this government? Have things fallen back to such a bad place because of human emotions? Did these emotions take over humans again and cause them to fight amongst each other? And possibly now there's a new uprising, but this uprising is trying to reinstate that government that eliminated emotions, just to kind of save humanity by eliminating what makes us human. A sequel would be good. You don't even have to bring back the same cast. It could just be a whole new group with these rebels that are now, in charge, and a few people that are like, hey, we don't want this lifestyle of war and conflict to go on. We're going to reinstate that government. It would be good. I want to see it. But hey, we'll see how that goes. Next one on my list is 2010's The Losers. I mean, this movie just has an all-star cast in it. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Chris Evans, Idris Elba, Zoe Saldana. And the movie is basically, these special ops army crew that get betrayed by the government and they're left for dead in Bolivia. But they're seeking revenge against the CIA operative who kind of blacklisted them. So the whole movie is about them trying to find him and get that revenge. And the movie ends with they found him, but they didn't really get revenge on him. He's still out there. He gets away. So I think a sequel would be in order for this. Have the crew get back together. Again, I'm sure they're busy. Zoe Saldana, Gamora, In Marvel, Chris Evans, Captain America, Idris Elba, Heimdall. So, I know that they're busy, but let's see them, kind of come back. Let's see the cast now trying to find the CIA operative Max and kind of close the book on that, but leave it open to where they can still take missions, kind of like the A Team, where yeah, they fulfilled what they wanted. They're still out there. They're technically blacklisted. They're dead by the government, but they could still pull off jobs. So I think it would work. The cast is unbelievable. Leave it the way it is. Bring them back. It'll make money. Next one. 2007's Mr. Brooks. Kevin Costner with his alternate personality, I guess you could say, William Hurt, two A-list actors. Demi Moore, the police officer, and Dane Cook, the guy who wants to learn. And it's such an intriguing movie to see Kevin Costner. He's basically a serial killer. He's been killing people for many years. He thinks himself as a good person, and his kind of alter ego, William, who's played by William Hurt, is the one that wants him to kill, who feels that thirst for it. Turns out Dane Cook finds out who Kevin Costner is, tries blackmailing him into showing him how to kill and get away with it. The whole time Demi Moore's trying to track him down. And again, this one, the movie finishes, Kevin Costner gets away. Demi Moore knows that he's still out there. And it has a little bit of a twist with it where Kevin Costner, he's a normal guy. He has a wife, he has a daughter, but it turns out his daughter has that same, I guess, disease you could say that he has, where now she kills. And you could do a sequel with this where maybe he discloses to her who he really is and goes about showing her the ways to fill this need, this void of having to kill, but without getting caught. The same way that he's been doing it for so many years, he can kind of pass it on to her so that she would be safe throughout, the same way he was. Again, kind of movie where you could just bring back the same cast, and that take on it alone, I think, would be amazing. Technically, Kevin Costner's case is closed with the police department, but because Demi Moore knows he's still alive, she becomes obsessed with finding him. Maybe she's doing it on the side. Maybe it's taking away from her actual police work, and she's trying to track him down. Maybe she loses her job trying to find him, and that plays part in it. But they should really do it. I think it'll be better than the original, and they could make a lot of money with that. Last movie, 1992, White Men Can't Jump. First of all, I gotta say, I love this movie. It's probably one of my favorite movies of all time. Woody Harrelson, Wesley Snipes, in their second movie together. They were football players in Wildcats, basketball players in White Men Can't Jump, and police officers in Money Train. But, in this movie, it kind of... Woody Harrelson's character shows up in California. He tries, pulling off some hustles in basketball to get some extra money. Wesley Snipes catches on, joins up with him, and they go around kind of just pulling these little basketball jobs to make some extra cash. But ultimately, throughout the movie, they're constantly referencing these two other basketball players, the King and Duck, and the last game that they play for, you know, all this money that they need to kind of help Wesley Snipes' character with the fact that, you know, he's living in a bad neighborhood, he wants to get out, he has a family. Woody Harrelson's being chased by these loan sharks. So they play this last game against the King and Duck, who are beating everyone. And Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson end up beating them. I think it would be interesting to have a sequel now, all these years later, where Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson are the King and Duck. They're the ones that are, you know, cleaning up, beating everyone. And now you've got these two new up-and-comers that, you know, trying to make a name for themselves, ultimately work their way up through different tournaments and games and end up challenging them. And that's your kind of climactic ending. Instead of having a big battle, a gunfight, or, you know, anything like that, you've got this big basketball game between them. And, you know, it can go either way. You can have it where the up-and-comers beat them, or, you know, Sidney Dean and Billy Hoyle are still that good and end up on top. I think this would work. I think you've got a lot of fans of the original. They would definitely come and check this out. Wesley Snipes really hasn't done anything since Expendables 3. I'm sure he could come back and do it. Woody Harrelson's been a little busy, but hey, get the two of them back together. Fourth movie, 4 times, get it done. But hey, let me know what you think about these movies, what you think about the sequel ideas that I proposed. Let me know what movies you want to see sequels to, and what you think would work for them. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to these videos and share them. And I will see you all tomorrow with week 2 of This Week in History, where we're going to be going back 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25 years ago, talking about the movies that came out and just kind of celebrating their birthdays. So until then, take care.